Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our March 26, 2019 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including what Zack Snyder's been saying in a recent panel discussion. We're going to be talking about the latest Supergirl episode and so much more. We'll also be taking your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss. And to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show, let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. Now, since WGBS Live is all about Superman, we want to hear from Superman fans that are watching us live on YouTube. So around the halfway mark of the show, and if we don't have too much on the docket, which this could be one of those weeks where we don't, but it really depends on where that Zack Snyder conversation goes, we will start taking your calls. To do this, you're going to need Skype. Go on Skype, find Superman homepage, and message us that you'd like to be on the show. Please wait for us to respond, and don't just call us directly because that can screw things up. Also, if we do happen to take your call, please turn off any speakers or anything if you're not listening through headphones, because there is a bit of delay, and that kind of messes things up.
Yeah, I've got the graphic up there on the side, so you should be able to follow that information pretty easily. Now, as you can see, I'm reporting from the Daily Planet. It's my new digs, new office that I've got. Hopefully, Clark and Lois in the background can keep things down, and there won't be an emergency where the Daily Planet globe is going to fall off or anything that I'll have to duck out and.
It looks pretty slick. You're looking good there. I'll just have to deal with my calendar and posters. So
let's get into tonight's topics. And as you mentioned, Zack Snyder, he recently participated in was what was called a special event, a 3-day event called the Director's Cuts. And the poster for that event is right there. It was a 3-night thing where they screened special director's cuts versions of some of his films. And on the Sunday night, they screened the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. And there was a Q&A session afterwards in which Snyder answered a lot of questions from the crowd and spoke extensively about what he's originally planned to do for the Justice League movie, which involved talk about just not really understanding the characters and just taking the easy tropes as far as what to do with, like killing Lois Lane off to get Superman to turn to the bad side and fall under the anti-life equation, and then have to travel back in time for Batman and the Flash and Cyborg to stop that from happening, which kind of ties in with the ideas that he'd kind of put in place in Batman v Superman, but never really came to fruition in the Justice League film for all different reasons.
Yeah, there's about 15 different things to talk about here. The first of which is how terrible those ideas sound. And it's not like the ideas in and of themselves are bad, but we've gone through over the past, I don't know how to describe that, like 10 years of all these kind of dystopian takes on Superman. I mean, you have the entire Injustice game series through 1 and 2 where Lois dies and Superman goes evil and takes over, well, doesn't go evil, but goes all despotic and takes over the Earth. Because Lois dies. We can go back to Kingdom Come, where Lois dies. So Superman just quits after Magog makes him feel bad about himself. And, it's just all these ideas that if Lois dies, Superman's got to either go evil and let the anti-life equation take him over, or whatever. But more than that, it really shows that he never had any intention of doing a Superman that was traditional. This whole thing of, at the end of Justice League, Superman's going to be on a more even keel because he's died and come back and learned so much from that, looked like it was either a last-minute decision because that Justice League script was scrapped and they went with something else, or two, they were going to bring him back just to make him go evil again. And when you really think about that, how awful do you have to make these films? How, like, does everything have to be like dark and despotic and all that? You know, it just makes me realize that all of the bad feelings I had about BVS were well justified. And I now feel even more betrayed than I did before.
Look, I'm on record as saying I enjoyed Man of Steel, and I enjoyed Batman v Superman, especially the Ultimate Edition, more than I did the theatrical version. And Justice League, I thought, was probably the best version of Superman that we've gotten in these three films. So I'm glad this didn't happen and that Snyder didn't go ahead with his original Justice League script that him and Chris Terrio had written, because, as you said, we already had the mistrustful Superman. Man of Steel, understandable real-world situation kind of thing, where you got this guy from outer space, lands on Earth, and people don't trust him because he's an alien. It's the first time they've ever met aliens, so you can understand that there would be some mistrust. But he wins that trust at the end of Man of Steel, and so in Batman v Superman, you're going, oh God, not all over again. Do we have to have this mistrust of Superman with, Lex trying to portray him and the explosion and everything that happened there? Are they going to, have that whole deal again? And Batman finally comes to realize that no, Superman is the guy that he says he is and does all the right things. To retread that again in Justice League by making him turn evil and what have you would just be like, holy crap, can we not just get a Superman that's positive and uplifting and fighting the good battle and doing the right thing simply because it's the right thing to do? Do we have to always have this mistrust of having Superman be doubted? Just like, get over it already.
When you have no concept of who the character is, that's exactly where you go. And we've been arguing about this for 6 years now. So I feel like all of the arguments have been had. I saw a great meme which took that image of Jurassic Park where Nedry was arguing with the old man that started the park, but I'm not having that argument with you again. I'm not arguing BVS with you again. I'm just not. But in all of those arguments, Snyder's defenders and the defenders of Man of Steel and BVS, and again, I'm not trying to, if that's what they like, that's what they like. I'm not arguing their taste. But what I am arguing is kind of an objective look at the fact that this guy probably didn't really like Superman all that much, and so he changed the character to suit his own needs. And, everybody can sit there and point to all of the Superman-like things he did, and some people like, the kind of Jesus, myth version of the character. But look at his behavior during this Q&A. Look at the things he said about his detractors. And I get it. Some people have said some terrible things about Zack Snyder and, just about him and his situation. And I'm not defending those comments at all. And I was on the record saying that they're terrible and you shouldn't do that. But the fact of the matter is he basically called anybody that didn't think Batman should kill, like he told you to wake up. He didn't say wake up. He said something much harsher that we can't say on a family-friendly video. He's basically, his concept was, you all are a bunch of babies. This is how the real world is, and I know better than you. And you can't, I can't see any other meaning behind his comments. And it just makes me think that all of the first gut instinct reactions I had to his comments, it puts, comments like, well, we thought it'd be fun to shoot Jimmy Olsen in the head. I mean, this guy was wrong for the character, just flat out wrong for the character. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it anymore. I'm not gonna go out of my way to talk about it, but we're talking about it because it just happened.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you can take or leave Zack Snyder as a director. If you like his films, you don't like his films. It's all a matter of opinion as far as your personal tastes are concerned. But I think from his own comments, as you say, in the very first movie, he was saying all the right things about Superman being the granddaddy of all superheroes and being, should be at the top and the pinnacle and all these kinds of things. But you can see that. I mean, I don't know Zack Snyder personally, but it appears that he got tired of just Superman, and so quickly tried to look at other things and bring Batman. I want to do Batman, so let's bring him in, and I can't just do another Superman film, and then it just quickly just snowballed into all these other characters, and I don't think Superman was given his due, and given the planned films that maybe Warner Brothers were hoping for, and I think they got caught up in the whole let's bring them together and have more and more and more, and it was just like, well, sometimes less is more, and I think looking back, history won't be kind to Zack Snyder's 3 films involving Superman, other than maybe Man of Steel. I think the critics and everybody who has spoken ill about these films probably has more ammunition now because of some of the comments that Zack Snyder has made in these Q&A panels, where he basically dismisses anybody who didn't like the versions of their characters he did.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably a little bit of bitterness involved here too, that things didn't. I will admit the WB should have stepped in earlier. It seemed like when they took him out at a really late. Justice League as a film, I think, kind of reflects that in its kind of uneven tone. Maybe they should have stepped in before BVS. Maybe they should have looked at that and went, maybe we need to do something else here. But that leads into a larger discussion. And I think what Aquaman, the success of Aquaman and Wonder Woman, and it looks like Shazam's going to do pretty well as, in addition to that, is that they really botched their idea of trying to kickstart it and not doing it the Marvel way. And I know there's people out there that talk about the MCU babies and the people that like those films, and you don't like deep and rich and
textured films,
philosophical looks at these characters. That's not what these films are designed to do. These films are designed to appeal to as large an audience as possible and make a lot of money. And if you think it's anything other than that, that's just not how this business works.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers isn't going to sink several $100 million into a film without expecting to get 3 to 4 times that back. And the fact that they decided to go with Superman and then right into BVS and then right into Justice League before setting up all these characters, I think when you watch Justice League compared to the first Avengers film, you get the sense that Avengers was a universe that was kind of established, where Justice League, they're making it up as they go along. I shouldn't have to learn about who the Flash is in a Justice League film.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to learn who Cyborg is well, maybe Cyborg. I'll give you Cyborg, because he can be your entry character in that case. The fact that Wonder Woman came out before Justice League, I think, was beneficial for her role in that film. But it's just, it was all handled terribly, and it's going to take them a while to get it back on track. Now, thankfully, like I said, their films are doing fairly well. So hopefully, maybe they can get a couple more successes under their belt, and then and maybe the new Batman film does well, that they can get back to Superman. But it's just, when these comments hit, at first I was like, well, what can what he really said been as bad as what everyone's reacting to? And then I read the comments and I'm like, oh, it's worse than I thought they were.
Bobby says it well in the comments, saying that Zack Snyder would probably be better doing a Deathstroke or maybe a Lobo movie, because he handles these more mature comics in a great way with a great visual style. And there's no doubting Zack Snyder has a great visual style. But then there's, who else in the Rock? Austin says, why couldn't Man of Steel been like Shazam, fun like Shazam? And I don't necessarily know if we want a comedy Superman film. Shazam is about a young boy becoming a superhero, and he's still that young boy, even though he is an adult-sized superhero. He's still the same kind of mind in that body. So that lends itself to that comedic side of a style of storytelling, where, say, Aquaman and Wonder Woman had a bit of mixture of both. and didn't take themselves too seriously. Still had the kind of light-hearted moments in them, and I think that's what a lot of fans like about the Marvel films. And I'm not saying DC has to copy the Marvel style of filmmaking, but films need to have some levity in them so that fans can, you know, they're going in to watching an adventure comic book character. They don't want to come away with, you know, some kind of philosophical, you know, lesson on humanity. They want, you know, they want to have a bit of both, a mixture of all those kind of elements to be entertained as well as to, you know, enjoy a good story.
And here's the thing for the fans of Snyder's takes on these characters, and you know, again, I'm not. Nothing of what I'm saying is meant to insult anyone personally. I'm not attacking anybody that likes these films. I'm just expressing my personal opinion that do not necessarily reflect those of Steve Eunice or the Superman homepage. But you know, I like to have that little disclaimer in there. But the fact of the matter is that I was told for years as a comic book fan, all through the 90s and into the 2000s, that Hollywood makes these changes to the characters to suit Hollywood's needs, and that I, as a comic book fan, am in the minority of the movie-going audience. And I think the people that like the type of superhero stories that Zack Snyder was saying, and if you find depth and if it's the rock your Church of Ra was built on, that's great. I see them as being kind of superficial. That's a matter of opinion. But either way, that viewpoint is directed to a very narrow audience. And to sit there and say, well, these are the movies that I want, is kind of saying I should get what I want at the expense of this movie doing well.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like what you're saying is, it's what I want, so it's what everyone should want. And that was Zack Snyder's entire attitude through all the comments that I made it. I know better than you. Shut up, fanboy. Get a girlfriend, and maybe you'll understand what I'm putting down.
Yeah, and I think that's the wrong attitude to come across as somebody who is trying to please as many people as they can in you know, especially the future projects coming up. You don't want to alienate any type of audience members that could be out there to, you know, bring you a little extra cash when it comes to seeing your films. So anyway, we leave Zack Snyder behind there and move on to other movie news, where the Justice League versus the Fatal 5 animated movie is getting its world premiere at WonderCon in Anaheim this weekend. March 29th to March 31st is the WonderCon dates, and Justice League versus the Fatal 5 will kick off the weekend as Friday night's feature premiere in the arena at the Anaheim Convention Center. So I hope anyone who's getting there can get to it and enjoy it. I'm looking forward to this film, as I've said before, purely on the fact that it's based on the animated style of the Justice League cartoons, with George Newbern as the voice of Superman.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this as well. The more I see of it, the more I'm. I don't know if I'll be buying it, like, you know, opening weekend, so to speak. But I'll definitely be checking it out. I'm now a member of the DC Universe.
Oh, cool.
Subscription service. I have watched the first 3 episodes of Titans. I have thoughts, but they're not Superman related, so they'll have to wait till another thing. So hopefully that'll hit there sooner rather than later.
Nice. Well, let's have a look at the trailer for Justice League versus the Fatal 5, in case anybody hasn't seen that before, and we'll watch that right now.
You all right, son? We need to know what he knows.
He doesn't even know what he knows.
It's a ship. We've come to the right place. Superman. He claims he's from the 31st century.
I'm Jessica.
Everyone knows Limelight.
The Fatal Five are coming! Well, well, ye old Justice League.
I didn't know you had powers, Thomas.
Metropolis will be by the first of your cities to be flattened. Or hand over the lantern.
We don't negotiate with terrorists, even the 31st century kind. We stop our enemies before they even start.
No one's responding to our call.
I heard you were grabby.
So there you have it. There's the trailer for Justice League versus the Fatal Five, which will have its world premiere, as I said, at WonderCon Friday, March 29th, starting at 7 p.m. Alright, let's move into our segments, our monthly segments that we do on the last Tuesday of every month, and that is tonight. And we'll start with the big question, which was what last month, Michael? Well, thank you, Ron. Some good points there. Stephen Marshall, he also wrote in saying, I'm down for it as long as it's the Calvin Ellis or Val Zod version of Superman. If Warner Brothers really don't know what to do with Clark Kent Superman, then why not make this a part of the DC Elseworlds label that Joker is being produced under? Yeah, interesting thoughts as well. Thank you, Stephen. Well, thank you to those three guys. And I forgot to play this, but here is the big...
Let's start with the big question.
Which will take us into the new big question. And our new big question is, what did you think of John Cryer's version of Lex Luthor on the Supergirl TV series? We've had 2 episodes as of this recording, with one more to go as far as I understand. So there's plenty of opportunity if you have seen John Cryer as Lex Luthor to form an opinion. So do so and let us know what that is by getting involved in the Big Question segment of our show. You will find the Big Question feedback form under the contact menu at the Superman homepage, and Michael and I will read out all the responses that we get for that question at the end of April. You can also record yourself as a video or MP3 file and submit that to us. All the information on how to do that are at the Big Question feedback form, as I said, found under the contact menu at the Superman homepage website. Alright, let's move into the super secret soundbite.
Only one thing alive with less than 4 legs can hear this frequency, Superman, and that's you.
Well, last month's sound came from the Ruby Spears Superman animated series. Let's play that again for anyone who may have missed it.
Hello, Mrs. Kent. Is that your little Clark?
Oh, hello, Mrs. Murphy. Yes, it's his first time at the supermarket.
My, he's a lively one, isn't he?
Yeah, so there you had Mrs. Kent speaking to Mrs. Murphy, somebody at the shopping centre, and Clark, obviously a little kid, first visit to the shops. And sadly, nobody guessed where it came from. So nobody submitted an entry for the super secret soundbite, guessing it correctly. So we will push on, and I've made this next month's sound a little bit easier. So see if you can guess where in the world of Superman this new super secret soundbite comes from.
Jumping in the river, waiting for Mr. Wonderful.
There you go. Do you think you know where in the world of Superman that sound came from? If you do, submit your entry to the super secret soundbite at the Superman homepage. Again, it's under the contact menu, and we will read out the names of everybody who guesses it right at the end of April when we come back for that segment next month. Any ideas, Michael, without giving it away? For a while you went out, but you're back. You're fine now. It was just not what it was like. You were in one ear, not the other. But yeah, yes. Hopefully it's all good. So Jace reckons it's too easy, and I'm glad he hasn't put the answer there for everybody to see. So get involved with the super secret soundbite. As I said, found at under the contact menu at the Superman homepage website. So that's it for the monthly segments. Get involved in both the big question and the super secret soundbite segments of this show. All right, we're going to take a quick break, almost at the halfway point of tonight's program. Then we're going to come back on the flip side to talk about the latest episode of Supergirl, which Michael thought very highly of. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Faster than a bursting bubble, cleaner than a whistle. It's me, the Soaky Kid, with 2 brand new Soaky Fun Bath characters, Superman and Tennessee Tuxedo.
Tennessee, penguins can't fly.
I happen to be skydiving.
Without a parachute?
I knew I forgot something. Thanks, Superman. Look, 2 brand new Soaky toys.
Great stars, it's me, Superman.
And me, Tennessee Tuxedo. Time to wash up.
Up, up, and away!
Soaky, soaky, cleaning,
oceans full of fun.
Scrubbly, bubbly, flibbity, flobbity.
Clean before you're done.
Soaky, soaky, clean, and every girl and boy gets a toy. When it's empty, it's a toy.
This picture of the Soaky Kid proves we're real Soaky toys.
Bath time is fun with the new Soaky Superman and Tennessee Tuxedo. More fun than...
And we're back on WGBS TV Live, where Michael is back. I accidentally had him on mute. Apologise, Michael.
Apparently I talked too much earlier in the episode. That's okay.
you had your quota.
Yeah, I had my quota. My bandwidth for the first half hour was exhausted, so we have to do this. But hopefully they can hear me now.
Yes, all good. We did say we're going to start with the Supergirl episode that aired on Sunday night there in the US, Monday night here in Australia, and it was titled The House of L, or L, depending on which way you're looking at me. And it was a fantastic episode. You gave it a 5 out of 5. It was a flashback episode, but there was so much new content in there that just connected all the dots throughout the season, in fact throughout some multiple seasons, with Miss Tessmacher, with Otis, that it just felt like it filled in so many blanks that you just went, wow. Well, I went, wow, I can't believe the writers thought that far in advance and planned that far in advance, or did some really interesting, tricky connection of dots that maybe they hadn't planned but filled them out anyway retroactively.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the show tonight, that it's either they had this planned or let's face it, Miss Tessmacher, up until this, the last season, I think it was season 3 where she started working with Lena, if I'm correct. Was it last season or this season? I don't know why I keep forgetting that.
I think it was this season she started working with Lena. Previously she'd been at Catco.
So it was kind of easy to kind of just plug her into where they needed her. But what I think I liked more than anything is that they put a lot of thought into who this Lex Luthor was, and we got to kind of see, it was really that trial that, I was on board last episode, but that trial where he basically kills everybody at the end, except Jimmy and Lena. I was just like, wow, that's a Lex Luthor thing to do. And to see him in prison and, basically having everybody on the take with him. They kind of did that, Mark Miller thing from Red Son, where he's the smartest guy in the room, so he's playing chess with 6 different people. But I think that the biggest surprise, and where I lit up like a Christmas tree, was in the first 5 minutes when he jumps out of that plane and puts on the armor. And I'm like, okay, didn't see that coming, but I'm kind of happy it's there. No, it was amazing. They did such a good job with Lex Luthor. I'm not going to say that this is the best version of Lex Luthor we've ever seen on screen, because, it's 2 episodes and you've got people like John Shea and Michael Rosenbaum who spent a little more time in the role. But they definitely gave us one that was worthy of the show. And
there were so many homages to, other versions of Lex Luthor. As you said, the power suit, the battle suit. There was the playing chess in jail. There was him putting a hologram of himself in his cell while he was outside, which obviously is, to the Gene Hackman and Otis playing chess in their cell in Superman 2. There's so many other little kind of throw-ins in there that Lex getting cancer, or giving himself cancer in this case, not actually getting it from the green kryptonite ring that they had in the comic books, but just little bits in here and there. As a fan, you just went, wow, that's a nice tip of the hat to a previous version. And I didn't feel like he was mimicking any other version of Lex or copying Gene Hackman's Lex at all. I felt like it was his own, take on the role, and Sinister. He actually seemed probably more like a genius than any other version that I've seen in live action, where he was, as you said, 6 steps ahead of everybody else. He just was a piece of work.
Yeah, and the fact that he was able to kind of step in and emotionally manipulate the Red Daughter, I guess is one of the ways we can refer to her. And boy, Melissa's Russian accent was pretty on point. I really enjoyed her in that role. And it was great that she took on the name Linda Lee and wore a wig when she was in disguise. And I'm just like, okay, these are the Easter eggs I love to see. And I think it was the fact that he took kind of a fatherly, brotherly relationship with her to manipulate her. I'm of the opinion that he doesn't have the powers anymore.
No.
That the transfer to bring her back probably got rid of those. But, everything is kind of set up for the next episode, and the next episode looks like it's going to be really good. But yeah, I think they made this worth the event. I guess is the best thing I can say about it.
Now, one thing that kind of took me out a little bit was the accent changing. At one point, he said to her, "Speak English. You need to keep your accent." and then she can switch between having an American English accent and a Russian English accent. That kind of lost me a little bit. I wasn't sure what was going on there.
She's just that good.
But what was he trying to tell her?
I guess.
Did he want her to keep a Russian accent, or did he want her when she's speaking English, or was he trying to tell her try to get an American accent? It was weird how she changed in between the two.
I think it was only when she was in disguise that she had the American accent.
I understood that. That's what she was doing, but if you can speak that way all the time, why do you resort?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's one of those little. That's a refrigerator question. It's the question you ask yourself 3 hours later when you go to get yourself a snack or a drink. It's just like, wait a second. No, definitely. I feel comfortable saying it's the best episode of the season because they were able to tie so much of the season into it.
Yes.
So it's not just, ooh, Lex is here, that's exciting. It's, no, Lex has been subtly manipulating everything, and he didn't cause the alien racism.
No.
He didn't cause Ben Lockwood to do what he did. He just pushed everything in the right direction and let the fire start on its own.
Yeah, exactly. Now, did they really explain to your satisfaction how Red Daughter came into existence? I know that they said, the black kryptonite has the ability to split people in two, and obviously Kara was exposed to it or whatever, but, the crash landing in Russia, I'm still a little bit confused.
I think that's just because that happened in the early part of the Jeff Loeb series, right? In that first 5 issues, where she was split into two, and one was kind of evil and the other was good. No, I think that's their explanation. It's not the one I was expecting. I honestly thought she was a temporal clone. Because of Kara going back in time at the end of the season, the fact that she popped up right after that, I'm like, oh no, something's weird here. This got pulled out of time or whatever. But her being for lack of a better term, a black kryptonite twin, which actually sounds like some kind of swimsuit issue thing. But her being coming from the black kryptonite actually kind of makes sense within the context of the series. It's a nice callback to the comics, so I just kind of went with it. Because, in all honesty, the temporal clone thing probably would have caused more problems than the black kryptonite idea.
Yeah, and it was good to see that the Red Daughter wasn't completely evil. She created a friendship with Mikhail. She saw, things in Kara's life that she thought was good. The relationship between her and her sister, the relationship with her and Lena. She saw so many things that she actually, and I'm glad she got to spend time in Kara's apartment to kind of live her life through her eyes, if you like, in some way that she was able to kind of have some empathy for her, not just think that she was totally evil. However, obviously, what happened at the end and the way Lex manipulated the Americans to have fired on, with Eve firing the missile on Mikhail's house, obviously spilt her over the edge. But interesting that Otis is maybe going to be putting the spanner in the works by having saved Mikhail, and that he's not actually dead. So that, I think, is going to come back and surprise Lex.
I actually really liked that. I liked that he was, the kid couldn't understand a thing he was saying, but I just like, he goes, I was dead once too. I know what that's like. And it's just like, wow, it's just, there was a surprising amount of depth in this episode. And I think it's because Red Daughter and Lex and all of these other characters are so nuanced that it works as well as it does. When I was kind of thinking about all the other Lexas we've gotten in live action, I mean, Gene Hackman,
aliens
kind of in a league of his own. and Kevin Spacey kind of went into that direction. It was just that Lex Luthor that spent time in jail. You really can't say much about the one played by Lyle Talbot. I think that was the guy. Was that the guy that played? Yeah. Because that Lex, one, he wasn't Lex. He was just Luthor. But he was pretty much the straight evil scientist. John Shea was the complicated businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Sherman Howard, the second one from the Superboy series, was more of the comic book mad scientist, but still had a lot going for him. And Rosenbaum had the advantage of playing Lex before he was Lex. So he got to be someone that the audience could identify with. John Cryer, and yeah, I kind of left out Jesse Eisenberg on purpose because I'm still mad about the whole Zack Snyder thing. John Cryer and the writers, along with John Cryer, managed to do what they did with Superman in the Supergirl series, in that they distilled all of these versions of the character into this one performance that I think has something for everybody.
Now, John asking, was Kara really on vacation in Smallville? I think they're timing that episode or that in the timeline when she went back to Smallville and was in the crossover, I guess, when she was with Clark and Lois on the Kent farm. So that's when that was supposed to have happened. So yeah.
So that's actually kind of that works out nicely. I was impressed with how they were able to slot everything into the timeline so effectively. And I guess when you have the ability to look at all of what you've written, it's not that much of a surprise. But it's just, I think the casting of Cryer was a bit of a stunt, but he delivered what needed to be delivered. So I have no complaints. I know that we're only going to get him for 3 episodes. There is a part of me that kind of hopes that he gets to be part of the Crisis event next year, but that probably isn't going to happen. But at the same time, we got it for these 3 episodes, so I'm going to be happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. And Mike says he cracked up at the part where they question how Kara could afford that apartment on a Catco salary.
Yeah, I've often wondered that, but it's that's like how did the friends and friends afford just such giant apartments in New York City?
And most of them didn't have jobs.
Yeah, so there you go.
Brad saying he's surprised Lenny wasn't brought up at all. Well, let's still got one more episode.
Yeah, I think it'd be funny. Do you think that would be too on the nose? I mean,
no, I don't know. They could work it out some way, where he says, to Otis, maybe something along the lines of,
I should have brought my nephew in.
Should have brought my nephew in instead of you, or something along those lines. But we'll wait and see if that happens. And speaking about the next episode with John Cryer as Lex Luthor, it's titled All About Eve, and it is episode 17 of season 4. And we have the promo trailer for that right now for you to watch as well.
Our best shot is to target Eve Tessmacher. Lex is more dangerous than ever, and he will strike. Our best shot is to target Eve Tessmacher.
You really look exactly like her.
Let them hate, so long as they fear.
Supergirl, you are now public enemy number 1.
Supergirl, all new episodes Sunday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
Are you surprised at all to see that Lex has Red Daughter pretending to be Supergirl and going all evil?
No, I thought it was brilliant. I thought that's a great complication, especially given that the White House doesn't trust her at all. Anyways, that's just playing into that. It's just he's making all the puppets dance.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. The fact that Lex knew Kara was Supergirl is probably no surprise. He's so much smarter than everybody else that he figured it out. But that fact that Eve has known all along, and the fact that she's playing on that, and that the actress, I'm skipping on her name, that plays Miss Tessmacher,
Brooks.
Yes, seemed to be such all airy fairy kind of playing Miss Tessmacher, but she's got that sinister edge to her that's working nicely too.
No, I've been impressed with her ability to go from, like you said, kind of like the seeming like ditzy to having a lot going on in her head. And I'm just really looking forward to this episode. I really am. I think the season's been good. It just got great.
Yes.
And I think that if they can ride this to the end, we're gonna have a really satisfying conclusion.
So this episode airs on Sunday, March 31st at 8 p.m. on the CW there in the US. So check it out, and we hope it's a good one following on from what we've seen already. Now, Tyler Hoechlin, who plays Superman on the Supergirl TV series, it's pretty much become the Lex Luthor TV series at this point in time. He is attending Supernova Comic-Con here in Australia, in both Melbourne and on the Gold Coast. I think it's next month. So yes, in April. And they interviewed him about his time playing Superman and having Lex Luthor being on the show now. They asked him about the possibility of Superman going toe-to-toe with Lex on the series. And he says there's always room for a showdown between Lex and Superman. Now, I don't think it's happening anytime soon. I mean, as far as anything happening, I answer the phone when they call and they say they've got something. I signed on to this job in the first place with the understanding it would probably only be 2 episodes, and it's going on for a lot longer than that. He's obviously gone on to be Superman in a number of episodes beyond just those initial 2. So anything's possible. Would you like to see that, Michael?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler plays a pretty good Superman on Supergirl, and Lex, as played by John Cryer, is obviously an awesome version of that. Now, as for the rumours about a possible spin-off TV series, he says, look, I've heard those rumours floating around. He says, honestly, I try not to think about it too much just because there are so many people involved in making that decision that are not me. I enjoyed absolutely every moment of working with Bitsy, as in Elizabeth Tulloch. She was phenomenal and did a great job as Lois. But obviously there are no plans that we know of that Tyler Hoechlin will be playing Superman, or that he'll get to meet John Cryer as Lex Luthor on Supergirl, unless there's a surprise appearance in this upcoming 3rd episode this Sunday that we don't know about. They have shown Superman and Supergirl landing together in the trailers and things as part of this. We thought might have been a flashback, but I think that's probably from a previous episode that we've just neither forgotten about. So I don't think we'll see Superman at all in this next episode.
Hey, actor, would you like to have a job that is an ongoing series? I mean, are they going to say no? I get that people ask him because they're trying to be the one that breaks the story essentially. But at the same time, it always amuses me when they're like, "Would you like to do this?" Yes, I would like to have a paycheck.
Yes, indeed.
So
now, one thing I didn't mention about this Supergirl episode that just went that I thought was also very just fit, was the fact that Alex is Kara's sister, but Lex has a similar name. So when Red Daughter kept saying Alex, he, being Alexander Lex Luthor, took it on, and used that to his advantage. Now, that's surely not something that they ever planned way back when they called Alex Danvers Alex.
No, this is what I'm saying, is that you've got a crew that is really plugged in to making these episodes special and to using everything at their fingertips, essentially, to kind of play everything into each other. The fact that you're able... Somebody in the room was probably like, Alex and Lex sound alike, and it created a good beat because she was trying to remember her sister, and then Lex comes along, so it's easier to manipulate her on that level.
All right, well, on other TV news, we have a new teaser trailer from Sci-Fi for the upcoming 2nd season of Krypton, and we're going to check that out right now because it is something we've been looking forward to, and we finally have some new Krypton footage to look at, so check it out.
My fellow Kryptonians, We are now ready to claim our rightful place amongst the stars as rulers of the galaxy.
Seg is our best chance at defeating Zod.
You didn't really think it would be that easy.
You are no Superman, Seg-El.
Alright, well that was the trailer for the second season of Krypton, and it just says coming soon, so we don't know any further details as to when that will happen. So we will look forward to getting further details on the actual premiere date or debut date of second season of Krypton. Oh, we haven't done one of these in a while, but we're going to try to take a new caller and see if I can manage to add Jace onto the let's see if I can do this. I'm trying to remember how we can get another caller in to the show, but in the meantime, while I'm figuring that out, Michael, you caught up on the most recent Superman comic book. Did you want to have a chat about what you thought of that particular issue?
I really liked it. I thought that the idea of Ultraman being not only, he's the opposite of Superman. So what is the opposite of Superman? The opposite of Superman is somebody that is not confident. And I loved John's reactions to him. And the fact that he just left him in this volcano and then would come back and sometimes cry and sometimes, get all emotional and then have to leave again. I could see where some people may think that it was just trying to be silly, but I really saw it as trying to bring a certain depth to this. And it was a great cliffhanger. I mean, obviously John gets out. Unless, of course, this John is not John and is an evil Earth 3 version of their son. But I doubt that's what it is. But that would be a kind of a funny way to kind of end this whole thing. But no, I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was this Superman for a couple issues there did seem to be nothing but Superman and Zod hitting Rogol-Zar. But this story has really taken on a depth that I was surprised at.
All right, seeing if I can bring Jace into the call. So just doing that right now, seeing if that works. I think I've just hung up on Michael, so I will get Michael back on. You with me again, Mike?
Yes.
Yes, I think I hung up on you there quickly, but yeah, I'm just struggling to be able to add Jace in on the call. Not sure.
The little plus thing at the top doesn't work?
I'll see, add to the group. Let's see if that... No, I don't. I'm just struggling to... Unless you know how to bring him on our... If you can call him on that side of things, that might... But then I won't have him here, so... Anyway,
yeah,
it's something we'll have to figure out. So I want to apologise to Jace, who wanted to be a caller on the show. Haven't done that in a while, so apologise. It's kind of caught me by surprise trying to figure out how to get him in on this as an extra person on this conversation. So I apologise, Jace. We'll figure it out hopefully for the next time and get you in once I've familiarised myself with doing multiple calls again on this application that we're using. But looking ahead to this week's comic books, and there are a couple that I'm really looking forward to checking out this week, and they are this week's comics: Action Comics 1009. Clark Kent, I know all of your secrets, says Amanda Waller on the cover of this one. That comes in a variant cover, which might look familiar to you if you visited the Superman homepage recently, because it's part of our current background. So, yeah. So there it is. Brad in the comments just saying, have I got a kid here to help me, Steve? Yeah, this new generation know everything, don't they? So maybe I'm getting a bit old. I can't remember what the instructions are. Then we also have Heroes in Crisis, another dialogue cover where Superman's saying enough in this cover, obviously pushing apart Booster Gold and Harley Quinn on this particular cover, and that's also available in a variant snapshot cover with flashing back to Kilowog murdered. Then we have a graphic novel available this week, book 1 of the Super Sons series, titled The Polar Shield Project. We've spoken about this at length in the past. That is out this week as well, so something that'll I'll be purchasing, because it's also available digitally, which they don't usually do with these types of graphic novels, in my experience in recent years. So these are the comic books that are out this coming week. Action Comics, obviously 1009 is the one we're looking forward to most, but I'm also really looking forward to Heroes in Crisis number 7 as well.
I wouldn't. I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Check that out.
Obviously, you've seen the advanced, what do they call them? Comp? That we get access to.
Yeah, I caught up on that series over the weekend, and I really don't know what to think. Okay. I honestly don't know what to think about it.
Fair enough. All right. Beyond that, I saw you mention this Superman Writers panel on Ithacon 2019 that I think has just taken place this past weekend. Something you probably wanted to attend but couldn't. Did you know of anyone who did go?
No, unfortunately, I haven't seen anything, and believe me, the friends that I have that would want to go to that would have been crowing about it all weekend. No, just the idea of Roger Stern and Louise Simonson. Ithaca, New York, is where Roger Stern lives. So that's a convention he's been doing for years. But just the fact that they were having that, just kind of makes me salivate. It's not like, I own the era, but at the same time, I mean, Tom Peyer, I would have loved to have picked his brain about the proposal he and Grant Morrison and Mark Waid all turned in like 98, 99. So I feel bad. Living in Georgia, it constrains me so.
Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. Before we do sign off, I'd like to thank everyone for watching tonight's episode of WGBS TV Live. I want to thank our sponsor and patron, Douglas Meacham. We appreciate your support. And if you want to sponsor the Superman homepage, please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage. You can be a sponsor for as little as $3. Now, I also want to thank everyone in the comments on YouTube for participating in the show. Jace, Rob, Mike, Brad, John, and I'm probably forgetting Bobby and a whole stack of others who have participated in tonight's show. We really appreciate your input into the program. And to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure as always, Steve.
Now, the complete 1-hour video of tonight's show will remain available on the Superman homepage website and our YouTube channel if you'd like to watch it back or perhaps miss part of the show. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, April 2nd, and at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. We look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.